So, I wanted to make a video on Herta and how strong she is at E0S0 with the current leaked V3, right? Now, currently in her V3, she is significantly stronger than she was in her V1 or V2, right? There was a bit of an issue where she's obviously the best in pure fiction. However, in MOC and APOC, because of the stacks disappearing and being spread out to too many enemies, it was a lot harder to get those stacks up originally, making her damage fall off a lot more significant, right? However, now against only a few enemies, her damage is still very, very top tier because of the V3 changes. On top of that, her Eidolons and her Lycone are as well stronger. However, I'm not going to go into that, right? This is going to be E0, S0 comparisons, and this is my list for the top 5 DPSs in each mode, right? For MOC, we have number 1 Fei Xiao, number 2 Acheron, 3 Boot Hill, 4 Firefly, 5 Yun Li. I don't think anyone's really going to argue with that, right? Now, by DPS, I mean main DPS, right? Like, I'm not including Topaz in here because the only reason Topaz is ranked so high in other people's list is because the main DPS Fei Xiao is paired up with her, right? So this will only be main DPSs on a certain team, right? Pure Fiction, we have number 1 Rappa, 2 Yunli, 3 Acheron, 4 Jingyuan, and 5 Himiko. I don't think this one's really that controversial at all either. In my opinion, it's really simple. Maybe you could argue and replace Himiko with someone else, but to be honest, I'm not that much of a Pure Fiction, enthusiast. So do what you will with that 5th spot. And then for APOC, we have obviously every single break team is in top 4. And then 5th is Acheron, right? And down here, I've put my own personal ranking for how strong V3 Herta is right now from all the leaked gameplays I've been seeing. So for MOC, I argue that she's top 3, arguably top 2, right? Now the reason I say this is that Herta does similar damage output to an Acheron, right? But the thing is, at E0, S0 specifically, I do think Herta is for sure stronger than Acheron. I don't even think it's like that crazy of a thing to say. One, she is less reliant on specific teammates than Acheron is. For example, if you have an E0, S0 Acheron without Jiaoqiu and one with Jiaoqiu, the performance difference is going to be incredible. You're instantly going to be able to notice that, right? And another thing is that Acheron's stack generation gets even worse if you further don't have her Lycone, right? So she gets worse damage without Jiaoqiu, she gets her stacks slower without Jiaoqiu, and she gets her stacks even slower without her Lycone. So at E0, S0 specifically, I do think Herta is better than Acheron in MOC, so I'd put her in the 2nd spot right next to Fei Xiao. Now keep in mind, this is a Pure Fiction unit, so I'm not going to be surprised if they end up nerfing her for her V4 or V5 soon. However, we'll have to see. But currently, this is her V3 ranking, and I've seen like 10 MOC runs with Herta at this point, right? I've seen a free-to-play Herta 0 cycle. I've seen a 2-cost Herta 0 cycle. She can 0 cycle at almost any level of cost so long as you have the right relic investment, right? And that is really, really good. She is someone who has a low floor, meaning you don't need insane relic investment to do good damage with her. However, the more you invest in her relics, the exponentially stronger she gets, right? Unlike Firefly, who has this issue where because her supports don't really buff her speed or give her extra turns, every time you see a Firefly 0 cycle, it's always an E2 Firefly, right? And the reason for this is that the E2 gives her an extra turn because she doesn't have any Harmony that can actually give her an extra turn like, let's say, Boot Hill could, right? This is why Boot Hill has always shined better than Firefly, even at higher relic investments. It's all because he can use Branya and Sunday, right? Because of him being able to get extra turns off those characters, he's able to perform a lot better than a Firefly would at higher relic investment, right? So I will say this is unprecedented, right? Once again, I do think she probably will be nerfed because being top 2 in MOC as a pure fiction unit, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose. Maybe Casters will end up being that strong, right? That is completely possible that she ends up having the Acheron effect and she ends up being way stronger than every previous DPS. However, the thing you have to keep in mind is that in 3.1, we have a harmony called Tribby. And from most of the leaks I've seen, Tribby's kit leaks are almost perfectly targeted for a Herta team, right? The main thing about Herta that is currently really, really nice for new players and old players alike is that she isn't reliant on limited characters, right? You can run Herta, Remembrance MC, and Gallagher. Or you can even run Serval, Remembrance MC, Gallagher. Or you can put Robin to replace the Harmony, right? Basically, Herta is very, very free-to-play friendly. I'd argue she is more of a free-to-play friendly, like low-cost, low relic investment team than Firefly, right? Maybe not in terms of relic investment. I actually kind of take that back because you only really have to focus for break on like a Firefly team. However, in terms of like team cost and relative to like its peak performance, I'd say a free-to-play Herta team still does very, very well without a Jade, very well without a Linkshaw, and very well without a Robin, right? All around, no matter, even if you have a free-to-play team, this will still be like a top 3 team overall in the entirety of the game, right? So let's move on. Pure Fiction, top 1. I don't think this is going to be a debate, really. There's not really an argument for this. She is easily the strongest in Pure Fiction. That's what she's supposed to be targeted for in the first place. So it's really not a surprise, right? And then in APOC, she's top 5. Now, I don't think I need to explain why she's top 5 in APOC. The break teams just have way too large of an advantage. Considering the already increased break damage from breaking the boss, you as well usually have better break efficiency on the break characters, and they obviously are able to better take advantage of the extra damage when a boss is broken compared to any other archetype in the game, right? So these 4 will probably stay at the top 4. However, it is possible that Herta replaces an E0S0 Acheron as the 5th place in APOC, and honestly, I'd argue she does. From what I've seen a few free-to-play runs on APOC. I've seen a few like 2 cost, 3 cost, 4 cost runs on APOC. And in my opinion, she does clear better than an E0S0 Acheron. So I'm making this video because I think this is just a quick and short way to tell you guys how strong I believe Herta is. And honestly, if you don't believe me, you can just go see the videos yourself, right? I do think Herta is top 2. Top 3, arguably. I literally only said this because I didn't want people to go crazy on me, right? But I personally do believe that she is top 2 in MOC, top 1 in Pure Fiction, and top 5 in Apocalyptic Shadow, which is an incredibly good track record, right? Being top 3 in 2 modes, top 2 at that, is incredibly impressive. And then for APOC, top 5, that should be enough to clear just fine, right? Let's be honest. I don't think anyone's going to argue about a top 5 character in an endgame mode. They should be able to clear without an issue, right? Now, I will say Jing Yuan being here is a bit of a caveat because he is like completely reliant on Sunday. Because without Sunday, this guy isn't arguably even in the top 10. But, it is what it is. This is just a quick video I wanted to get out. This is my current top 5 list for characters in every single endgame mode. And from the videos and I've seen, right, comparing them to like other characters in these exact same endgame modes, as well as like how much average cost, their average investment in relics, Herta does seem to be one of the strongest in the game without a doubt, right? And once again, this is without Tribby. Tribby is a Harmony coming in 3.1 who is supposed to give action advance depending on how many mobs on field you hit, right? So for an Erudition team, it's incredibly broken, basically. That's really all it comes down to, right? So once Tribby comes out, she's also going to have res pen, blah, 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 damage bonus. Extremely, extremely strong. Likely the new Ruan Mei in all possibility, right? So do keep that in mind, that current Herta, this current tier list, is included without her signature Harmony, who is supposed to release in 3.1, which is incredibly impressive. And because the fact that there is no signature Harmony for her and she's still this good, I'd say she is the best pull for a DPS in the entirety of the game currently, right? I know what some of you are going to say. We do have Castris in 3.2. I completely understand. If you want to save and not go for Herta right now, 100% just go for Castris. However, do remember that in this game, you usually need 2 teams, right? And the Herta team right now is one of the most universal teams in the entirety of the game, right? The only one who can even semi-compete here is Acheron. Like, you'll realize that Acheron is top 3 in Pure Fiction, top 2 in MOC, and top 5 in APOC, right? Literally the only other character with a similar track record. This woman is in every single top 5 for every single endgame mode. However, Herta, in my opinion, offers an even better value with future potential because of future supports that are tailor-made for her, right? So do keep in mind, 2 teams in this game. You can get Herta, you can then get Castris. However, I completely understand if you think going for Castris is a better deal, because she is being hyped up by the leakers to be the end-all be-all of DPSs, right? She was given the highest meta rating. She's apparently an HP scaler. We're getting a relic set in like 3.1 or 3.2 that is 4 HP scalers. So with all that in mind, it does make sense if she ends up being this crazy, crazy overpowered character, right? So let me know what you guys think. Quick video. I'm probably not going to play any video in the background. Maybe I'll overlay this so that you guys can see it better. But then what's the point of even having gameplay on there, right? So have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.